Have you seen Steven Universe? This cartoon show on Cartoon Network about a little kid being raised by alien superheroes? It's great! Well, if you have seen it, I guess you don't need to watch this video, or most of it. I'd like to talk about several things. Last time I didn't really have anything to talk about, so... But right off the bat, I'd like to talk about Steven Universe. If you haven't seen it, then I'll tell you a little about it, but I can't tell you very much, because there's so much I want you to discover on your own. It's just one of those shows that is so brilliantly written. We seem to be experiencing something of an animation renaissance. Shows which can garner a following for both children and adults. Some have suggested that this has gone too far, that maybe we've forgotten how important it is to have kids shows that are just, silly kids fare. And there's a point to that, I suppose, but at the same time, it's impossible to deny the appeal of shows like Steven Universe, which carry such potential for enjoyment for adults and little kids. And I have to believe that both little kids and adults can enjoy this show. I certainly do, and I'm kind of both in a way. It's not the only show that can be used as an example of this trend, of course. In the last several years we've gotten it, a lot of them on Cartoon Network and elsewhere, even on the internet. Barbie's Dreamhouse, even. Can you believe that Barbie actually has a halfway decent cartoon show? It's on the internet, and it's really self-aware and kind of funny. Cartoon Network kind of began the trend with shows like Kids Next Door, and then there's Gravity Falls, and Regular Show, and Adventure Time, of course, and then there's My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and as you know, I'm a bit of a brony myself. The list goes on and on. But there are all these cartoon shows happening which are really well written. In fact, there are live-action shows. We've got a television renaissance, all things considered. The movie stations creating their own series, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The Walking Dead. Let's just say we've got a bit of a creative renaissance going on, a televisional creative renaissance. I just like saying that word renaissance. It rolls off the tongue, but damn it, I can't talk too much about it because I'm going to run out of time. I got to try to keep this under 10 minutes so it doesn't make it difficult to upload this thing onto YouTube. I've got older software, so I have to keep it under 10 minutes. It's dumb, but what you going to do? Anyway, Steven Universe, great show. It's the kind of show that you have to go back to multiple times to really get the idea of what the program was trying to tell you in that particular instance. The morals aren't always clear, which is something that I admire the show for. Sometimes, on a television program, when the moral is not clear, that can be a bad thing, because it means that the producers of the show weren't really doing their job, they didn't write it well enough to make the moral clear. Sometimes the moral is too clear, but sometimes a moral is so subtle that it requires you to think about it, and that is the best way to deliver a moral. Or sometimes you get the moral and you just go back and watch the episode again because you enjoy watching it. I like watching Steven Universe. It's the story, again, if you haven't seen it, but it's the story of this stupidly adorable little kid, and he's like the perfect little boy. He's the kind of kid that we all like to imagine that all little kids should be. He's well-meaning and innocent and dumb in all the cute ways, and he's a musical savant. He plays instruments, comes up with all these songs. While I'm singing this show's praises, this show actually has really good musical bits. Anyway, this show, created by Rebecca Sugar, who worked on Adventure Time, I think that the motif in this program is about balance. Steven's life is all about balance. He himself is a kind of hybrid of the earthly and the unearthly. His mother was the commander of a group of alien heroines, who met a beach bum one day, fell in love, and gave birth to him, and in so doing, gave up her physical form, which is kind of like how people phase dimension in Dragon Ball Z. She basically died. And so this little kid, he's part human, and he's just a regular little kid, or at least, again, as we like to hope regular little kids really could be. In real life, they're not nearly so pleasant, are they? Who is? But he is, Steven is. You love him instantly. And he's being raised by his dad, who's this kind of Well, he runs a car wash on a beach, and he sort of embodies someone who runs a car wash on a beach. That's just the perfect way to describe him. He runs a car wash on a beach, and he plays a guitar, and kind of lives out of his van. But he's a good guy. He's very affable. And he's also being raised by these three awesome warrior women who are from outer space and have an alien perspective on all humanity, which leads to all these faux pas. It's very elegantly written how these women have sworn to protect the Earth because they love it and humanity, but at the same time they have trouble relating to humanity. And Steven becomes a kind of bridge for them. Steven lives in this gorgeous alien temple, which is set under a lighthouse, and a beach house is sort of built around it. And it's the interplay of the mundane and the fantastical which gives this show its special personality. Because while focus is largely given to the adventures that Steven goes on, collecting artifacts from all over the world with these superwomen, when he comes home, just as much emphasis is placed on the people of the town around him. He knows people. He's well known. He's got friends in the donut shop and on the boardwalk. He hangs out with them, and sometimes the episodes are just about them hanging out, more or less. Well, there's usually something happening with alien technology. But it's that sense of balance which permeates the entire show. It's not just about the ordinary versus the extraordinary, are the earthly versus the unearthly, are not verses, because it all melds together, and that's what Steven himself is. It's also about love versus hate, because these aliens are millennia old, and Steven's mother, having died, this is all brand new for them, being without her, so it's also about coping with loss. While Steven has to deal with not knowing his mother, his father and his adoptive mothers have to deal with not having their beloved matriarch around for the first time in centuries. Well, the father hasn't been alive for centuries, but still, they had a good relationship. Running out of time, gotta talk fast. But it's heavy stuff for a kid's show, isn't it? But it works out. The themes are all woven elegantly and intricately. Sometimes the moral of each episode is so subtle that it goes over my head completely, and I only notice it when I go back to examine it. Sometimes you realize that Steven's method of maturing into a greater human being, into an adult, is by taking on the lessons that his mentors were trying to give to him, and giving them back to them. And, wrestling with issues of inherent guilt, just as the people around him have this very subtle resentment of him. Even though they all love him dearly, he does exist at the cost of this person who they all also loved for many, many years. And so Steven feels kind of bad for being there in his mother's place. Just watch the show. If you haven't seen it already, watch the show. It pays homage to anime, to popular culture in all sorts of ways, and it's an excellent program, and I give it my highest recommendation, and I do that because it needs a recommendation. It's not really all that well known. It doesn't have DVD releases yet. It has one DVD, which is like a few shows. Anyway, this show needs to be more popular, so do that. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Do check it out. You'll enjoy it, and sometimes it'll give you pains, like it gives me pain. That's why I'm hesitant to get involved with shows like this. With any show, really, because I really get too invested, and that's a problem. I'm running out of time. What was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, MoCA. I'm going to be at MoCA in New York in April. The 10th and 11th, or the 11th and 12th. I forget. I can't really look it up right now. I'm doing the video. But save the date after you find out which date it really is. I'll be in MoCA Fest, New York, April, and what else? Oh, I had a great time at the 910 CMX Art Jam, which, I got together with a bunch of other artists. Well, I tried to get together. I spent all this time with Tom trying to figure out the application that we had to download to my computer to the video conference with him and the others. I had a great conversation with him, but unfortunately the thing crapped out on me before I could actually join the conversation. I kept getting this message that I wasn't allowed in the conversation, and it was outrageous. I still was able to sort of participate by leaving comments on YouTube and sending in scans of the art jam. We'll probably do another one, 910 CMX. Keep an eye out for that. All right, running out of time. Steven Universe, really cute, really funny, really poignant and compelling, unexpectedly well drawn. Rebecca Sugar, the creator, watch the show. Watch me, catch me in MoCA Fest in New York, and had a nice time. 910 CMX. Goodbye.